This is probably the creepiest, most unexplainable thing that has ever happened to me. I used to work overnight as a security guard at the local port. Usually, none of the port workers would stay overnight except for the safety official. I wouldn't be on the shift alone since the site has a radius of nearly 2 miles. Overnight, usually there would be 3 guards, including me. Since the area was fairly big, there were different posts, but front gate was the main entrance where all of the guards would be stationed overnight, since there was no need to put them in other spots due to the fact that there was no activity in the site at this time. The veteran guards that have been there for years would often say that the site is haunted, given the fact that there have been many accidents and deaths that occurred in the area a long time ago. I was aware that people died there due to freak accidents, and I do believe in angels and demons, since I'm actually a religious person. But I always thought that the superiors were just messing with the new guys. I would work 5 to 6 nights out of the week, and for the first few weeks, I never really saw or heard anything out of the ordinary, except for maybe a few questionable creaks and seeing a few misplaced objects while doing my patrol rounds, but nothing too crazy. Just to describe the setting to you, this is a fairly big site, and on occasions, when there were big projects being constructed at the port, the workers would sometimes stay overnight. Due to the fact that there were times where port workers were required to stay at the port for a few days, there's a gym in the site for their convenience. This gym is fairly old. In the gym, there's a sauna, weights, and even a racquetball court. If you don't know what a racquetball court is, it's similar to an indoor tennis court with thin plastered walls and thick glass doors. Usually on our patrol rounds, me and one of the other guards, Mike, would stop by the gym and play a few rounds of racquetball before returning back to the front gate. On one of those nights, me and Mike decided to hit a full workout instead of playing racquetball in the cage. At this point, it is around 2:30 in the morning, and the entire building is so quiet that you can hear the electricity running through the lights. The air conditioner is off, and so is everything else. The only thing that's running are the lights. 15 to 20 minutes into the workout, we hear a loud thump. We crossed it off as nothing and continued working out. Then, after a few more minutes, we heard the loud thump once more. At first, we thought it was our lieutenant, which could have been walking around, but then we radioed him and he gave us his location, which was the front gate. We tried thinking logically on what could be making those thumps on the wall. They were coming from the court on the other side. We thought it was the air conditioner, but then we remembered that it was off, and even when it's switched on during the day, there's no reports of thumps coming from the air conditioner. After a few more minutes, the thumps started occurring one right after another. We were very creeped out at this point, but what we were about to witness still scares the absolute shit out of me till this day. We started to approach the other side of the gym to where the glass door was. We turned on the flashlight and aimed it towards the clear glass door, and I got the chills all over my body when I started tearing so much out of fear that I was about to cry. We saw one of the balls rolling slowly by itself inside the court, but there was no one there. So that means the loud thumps were the balls mysteriously being tossed against the wall as if something or someone was playing inside the cage. We were both so confused and frightened to how this was actually happening, and we couldn't make sense of it either. We were scared shitless and we started yelling and running away because we knew there was probably something evil toying with us right there. As we sprinted full speed back to the front gate, the lieutenant saw us and asked why we were tearing and running in a ridiculous manner. We told him what we witnessed, and his facial expression scared us even more. Then he said, "That's why there's always guards that quit often, because there's something evil in this area. And it's not the first time that something this bad has happened here." He then showed us the security footage of dark figures and shadows literally passing through the office areas and lights mysteriously switching on and off. Till this day, I still get chills recounting my experience with my friends and family, and I'm even getting chills right now as I'm typing this. I have never had a real encounter with the supernatural until that night. Many say it was a demonic presence messing around, while others say it was the ghost of a dead person who died in the area. I don't know what it was, but I didn't last long in the job after. What I'm about to tell you is a story of a sleepover that still haunts me to this day. At the time of the sleepover, it was me and my best friend, both aged 7 or 8. We are both 16 and 17 and haven't talked about this incident since. We lived in Florida, about 15 minutes away from Tampa. It was one of our many sleepovers we had, and it was no different from others. We played with Barbies, watched movies, read books, until we couldn't take it anymore, and went to bed at around 9 or 10. I turned off the lights and climbed up my top bunk, where both me and my best friend were going to sleep. As I laid down, something immediately didn't feel right. The house I lived in was extremely old, and our landlord sucked and never came to fix anything. Let alone, did he only care when our rent was due. Before getting in bed, I flipped on my fan and had my mom turn the AC down. But as I got in bed, my fan was turned off, so was the AC. But I thought the power went out and didn't think much of it. About 20 minutes go by and I can't sleep, and I feel like I'm dying of heat stroke. I'm not sure if my friend is awake, so I say her name quietly. She responds immediately saying, "I can't sleep." But not because it's hot. I look over and can barely see her but her silhouette. I look up at the ceiling, sigh, and say, "What is it then?" She responds saying, "It's the man in the corner." When I say I got the chills, I got chills. I look over at her slowly, and then turn my head to look at the corner. I thought she was lying because I didn't see anything. I let out a breath of air I didn't know I was holding in. I go to adjust my blanket, and that's when I see him. A man, dark and tall, seeming to stare at both of us. I immediately grip my friend's hand and close my eyes. "We have to get my mom," I whispered, and I felt my friend nod. But we both laid there, unable to move. All of a sudden, I feel the movement of someone climbing up the ladder and crawling slowly. The blankets moved with the movement, and I slowly opened my eyes to watch the man slowly starting to crawl towards us. I was gasping for air and looked over to see my friend watching as well, paralyzed from moving. I look back at the man and can only see his outline, no features at all. I hold my friend's hand tight and say, "Scream when I tap your finger," which I barely got out in a whisper. She slowly nodded, and as I watched the man slowly reach for my face, I tapped her hand and we both screamed bloody murder. My mom came running in no later than 20 seconds and turned on the light, and both me and my friend were holding each other, crying. There was no trace of the man, and my mom checked all doors, saying that they were both locked and weren't even touched. We both slept on the couch that night, watching Barbie movies and holding each other tightly. To this day, I don't know what it was or who it was, but I will always be remembering the eerie feeling of death being close to my face. This happened to me and my little brother, who we'll call Dylan, for privacy reasons. I was a 25-year-old male and my little brother was 19. We were relaxing, playing some Halo 3 on the Xbox, smoking a bowl, just being brothers, hanging out. It was a Saturday night in the midsummer of 2009. We lived in a quiet neighborhood. Neighbors were just far enough apart that you had enough privacy and they never got into your business. But we all knew each other as our parents lived in the house for years and it was our childhood home. When my parents retired, they moved off and left the house to us, so we never had to worry about a roof over our head. Now our house is at the end of a cul-de-sac with the garage door to the right, and our front door is up 4 steps to the left of our window between our garage door, but from our kitchen you can see straight out when the curtains are open. This particular night, however, would grow to haunt me and my brother to this day. After a few hardcore hours of gaming, and with it being 3 in the morning, my brother got up to stretch his legs and relax his hands. And then he went downstairs to grab some water and a snack. Not even 10 seconds after he left, Dylan comes running up the stairs and locks the door, freaking the total hell out. I look at him confused, while I try asking him, "Bro, what the hell is wrong?" Then, in such a fearful tone, he said, "There's a guy on the porch with his hands cupped to the window, smiling from ear to ear." Then we hear 5 knocks at the door. We froze in our tracks, backing slowly away from the door. I get under the bed and grab my machete and bat that I always keep under my bed in case I ever need to defend myself. I give the bat to Dylan as he's taller than me and has longer arms, so this would be more beneficial to him. We tiptoe back to the bedroom door and unlock it. We crack the door open just enough to see out of. Then suddenly, the man knocks over and over and over, and before you know it, he had knocked at least 30 times, and then it just stopped. I told Dylan to grab my cell phone and dial 911. He did so, and the dispatcher told us that officers were on their way. While on the phone, the man went around the back of our house. Then, without warning, there was a loud, blood-curdling scream. Then suddenly, the man takes off in a full sprint and threw himself into our back door. We tell the dispatch officer that he just broke on our back door. She tells units to step it up as he's trying to make an entry. We hear the sirens closing in faster and faster as the man continues to bash himself into our door. And on the 3rd bash, we hear the door crash open. We stay as quiet as possible, listening to things in the kitchen being smashed to hell, and the man yelling, "Come out! Come out! Wherever you are!" I whisper to dispatch that he's downstairs in the kitchen, and she tells officers that they made entry, and one unit said he was close. We ready our bat and machete as we hear footsteps creaking up the stairs. Then blue lights can be seen illuminating the house as we hear, "Police, come out with your hands up. Make your presence known." The man books it down the stairs and gets tackled by an officer and gets handcuffed in the struggle. We came out when the officers cleared the house and made sure it was safe. The man was high on meth, just looking to rob us and to get a quick fix. We're so thankful for the officer that arrived, because if he hadn't, I can only imagine what would have happened next. To this day, I still get nightmares of that creepy ass smile. And to whoever you are, creepy smiling man, I hope we never meet again.